Emerson, the American scholar. A scholar must believe in action. After speaking about the education of a scholar by nature and books, Emerson speaks about the education of a scholar by action. He says that it is a wrong notion to think that a scholar should be a recluse or should be unfit or invalid for any handiwork or public labor. Men who do practical work or men of action make fun of scholars who can only speculate and think but are unable to do any practical work. Emerson says that though action is secondary with the scholar, but it is essential and necessary. Emerson goes to the extent of saying that without action, a scholar is not even a man. He stresses that a scholar, therefore, must not only be a thinker but also be a man of action. According to Emerson, thought cannot ripen into truth without action. Action is required to convert thoughts into truth. He considers inaction as an act of cowardice. It is through action that the transition or change of thought takes place from unconscious to a conscious state. The whole world surrounds us, and our attractions towards the world unlock the thoughts and make us acquainted with our own selves. Knowing the world with our own experience extends the domain of our existence. A true scholar cannot miss the opportunity of action. Action is like diamonds and rubies to him, which add on or decorate the discourse of a scholar. An opportunity to act which is lost is considered as a loss of power by a true scholar. Intellect molds its products out of the raw material which is gained by action. A scholar must be very eager and enthusiastic to perform actions because actions form the sources of the vocabulary that he requires and needs. Thus, we can conclude that action is a kind of diction, or it adds new words to the dictionary of the scholar. Actions and events of childhood make the raw materials for future action. A scholar's time is therefore thought to be very well spent if it is spent in the labors of villages or if it is spent in town in a study of trades and manufacturers, or in frank conversations with many men and women belonging to the field of science or arts. Those scholars who devote their total strength towards performing action, they get in return the richest result, and that result is in the form of wisdom. So, action leads to wisdom. One can know from the speech of a scholar, that is, from the poverty or splendor or richness of the speech of the scholar, we can find out how much the speaker has already lived. That is, how much experience he has gained in his life through actions. According to Emerson, a scholar must live his life. Emerson says that the final value of action is that it is a resource, and a resource to live. Emerson considers the difficulties of life as instructors in wisdom as well as eloquence. When a scholar or an artist has exhausted all his materials, and when his imagination stops to work or fails to paint something new, or when the scholar finds books as tiresome, still he has the resource to live. Emerson says that thinking is a partial act, while living is a total act. He considers character as higher than intellect. He considers thinking as a function and living as the functionary. Whenever a scholar finds it difficult to impart his truth, he can still fall back on the powerful resource of living them. Dignity of labor and necessity of labor are both being recognized these days. Emerson says that time shall teach the scholar the importance of labor. Action is therefore welcome everywhere. Manual labor has great merit both for the learning as well as for the unlearned. A scholar should therefore master the language through which he can express his perceptions and ideas and notions through action. Action is therefore welcome everywhere. Manual labor has great merit both for the learning as well as the unlearned. Emerson thus conveys the idea that a scholar must learn the dignity and necessity of labor in order to become a man thinking.